The hardest thing in the world to explain is the difference between performance and absolute performance. The biggest thing that I'm always fearful of is that they chase returns.
Last year, around this time, we were a little bit almost like apologetic to our users, saying like, oh, we underperformed the market this year. And because it was like a crazy 20 something, almost 30% on the S&P last year. This year, we are definitely ahead because of the crash. So if you compare the two, we don't have visuals for this right now, but just explain it just in layman's terms. Are we ahead overall if we're just comparing the last 2 years?
It's a conversation that I really want to have with everyone, and I think most people on our platform know this. There's the biggest thing that I'm always fearful of people that are investing in the market is that they chase returns. They chase the return of, for example, an ARK trading, which was the innovative model. It went up 80% in a year. Then it grew to 65 billion in assets. Then, of course, it lost 80% last year. 80%. It's about absolute return. It's not about return. Some years you will beat the market. Some years you will not beat the market. When a market goes up all year and closes on its high, like it did in 2021, flip investor in almost most of the portfolios we have that represent 90% of the population, which is an aggressive portfolio or a conservative portfolio. An aggressive portfolio will not beat a market that gave us no room to manage risk. In other words, all year of 2021, it was a risk-on year. There was no dips, none. So therefore, when our product, which is trying to manage risk, attempts to essentially go to cash, which is like an insurance, well, we think the market could go down, then the market continues to go up. We're forced to buy back in at a higher price, and therefore we're going to underperform.
Right.
Where we do well is when the market doesn't. And that's the key. The key is to stay out of the bad days or bad years or bad months, and then try to reposition and own the market cheaper. This is why the hardest thing in the world to explain is the difference between performance and absolute performance.
Right.
Very difficult. People want to say, "Oh, this was up 25% for the year," and the someone like us might only be up 15% for the year. And they'll say we underperformed by 10%. This year, the market's down 20%, and we're down, depending on the portfolio, about 5-6%. So we've overperformed by around 14-15%. So we're about even over 2 years, depending on the portfolios. Since the portfolios are different everywhere, very difficult to gauge it. But
right.
I can tell you, over time, it is very easy to show that the longer you stay with these methods, the more kind and gentle your journey will be. That mimics the market, likely will overperform the market, but most importantly, manage your risk throughout. We never want to have a person retiring after a year where a market is down 40%.
Right.
And that is the key. The NASDAQ itself is down 40% this year, but it was up almost 100% since COVID. For it to lose 40% is nothing. I wouldn't be shocked to see the NASDAQ lose another 20% or so.
Wow.
And would that be devastating? Yeah, if you own it. If you see Apple at 100, it's going to be painful. But those are things that will look pretty good, I think, at a cheaper price. Hopefully, our algorithms and our artificial intelligence signals will be smart enough to buy the market lower. So at the end of the day, to answer the final question, It's absolute return. We manage the risk, and risk is like insurance, and insurance costs money. And the money it costs is the fact that your return on your particular investments in our portfolios will behave different than the market. And that's what we wanted to do.
I mean,
Behave
we
different
have
than the market.
someone. Yes, absolutely. And we even have someone in the chat who chimed in saying that their Fidelity account is down 67%. Right. And so that's the kind of thing that it doesn't happen every year, you know, because we always talk about how 85% of the time the market goes up, but those 15% of the time can be very damaging. And that's the kind of thing that iFlip specializes in protecting you against. So we'll leave it there for now. We're absolutely going to check back in a quarter or two to see how Kelly's predictions actually panned out.